Grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you needin' them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people, that sugar really depleting them. Knowledge over ignorance, rising above predicaments. Fighting for equality, speaking for all the innocents. These drugs they been giving us, turning our people vigilant. Innocent dissidents, violence is coming imminent. Gotta fall a couple times to learn the lessons faster. Thinking will it matter if I skip a couple chapters? This life that I'm after got me climbing up the ladder. Won't be another rapper, bankrupt with the chapter. On another mission to get rich, it's big chips. Head past the crown on solid ground, the kid spits. On another level, these devils can't block the business. The kid get psycho with a rifle, get your wig split. Change the game passively in the back, so happily. Jersey. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Community Soldier Podcast, hosted by me, Justin Counts, your local activist and community soldier. Well, as you guys can see, we've been doing a lot, working a lot on changing the format of the podcast and how we do it and everything. So we hope you enjoy the new format. We are still going to get back to inviting different guests on the show and spotlighting different community organizations and things like that. But we're actually going to switch to this new format. So hope you guys enjoy. We're going to start tonight's episode with some local news from the week, a little bit of education, local events that's happening. So first up, we got Guernsey. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Becomes the first female head prosecutor in Jackson County. As head prosecutor, Kelsey is focused on bringing fresh perspective to the office with a strong emphasis on criminal justice reform and community engagement. Her leadership promises to make a real difference in the lives of people she serves. Kelsey Guernsey's story is one of resilience and breaking barriers, inspiring future generations of women in law and leadership. Jackson County is in good hands with Kelsey at the helm. We'll see how that works out. We're looking forward to meeting Miss Kelsey, and we hope that she is about bringing some real justice reform, and we're looking forward to her community engagement as well. GameStop abruptly closed in Jackson Mall. In a surprising move, GameStop abruptly closed its store at the Jackson Mall, leaving many customers and employees wondering what the retail giant's next move will be in our community. The closure, which took place without prior warning, marks another shift in retail landscape as businesses across the country continue to adapt to changing consumer habits, especially in the wake of the pandemic. GameStop had been a staple in Jackson Mall for years, offering a range of video games, consoles, collectibles, and gaming enthusiasts. However, the rise of online shopping and digital downloads has significantly impacted traditional brick and mortar stores like GameStop. While the company has been transitioning to new business models, including online sales, used game trades, the closure of the Jackson Mall location raises questions about the future of its physical stores. For many in Jackson, the GameStop store wasn't just a place to buy games, it was a gathering spot for gamers to talk shop, swap stories, and share a love for the gaming community. Now, with the sudden closure, locals are left wondering how this will impact the mall and the broader retail scene in Jackson. While we don't have full details yet on the closure, it's clear that this marks another chapter in the evolving retail environment in our area. It's another sad day. I mean, GameStop was a staple for the mall. I know for me growing up in a lot of malls, it was a staple. We had to stop there. It's sad to see it go, but once again, this is further evidence of in this time now, if we don't evolve as businesses, we're gonna die off. We're gonna die off. We gotta evolve. Now, for a couple of events that we got, happening in Jackson. Let me see here. So this one is a good event. I thought was pretty interesting. We got culinary class with JACC. Join us for a one-of-a-kind culinary experience inspired by Julia Child, a recipe for life. Watch the JACC culinary students bring Julia's iconic recipes to life with a live demonstration of Caesar salad, chicken fricassee, and a decadent chocolate mousse. Straight from the Mastering the Art of French Cooking. Indulge in a three-course meal featuring these classic dishes. The doors open at 5 p.m. The tour galleries dinner will be served at 6 p.m. Date is January 10th. Doors open at 5 p.m. Tickets are $35. And this is at Ella Sharp Park and Museum. You can find more information at ellasharpmuseum.org/classes and events/culinary class with JACC. On January 11th, we got the Paw Patrol meet and greet skate party down at the All Skate Fun Center. This is a character meet and greet free with regular admission. Join us visiting with Chase, who will take pictures with your child, door prizes, fun games, and yummy food at our snack bar. Admission $12. Super Fun Pass is $19. Includes skating, skate rental, one game of laser tag, 10 credit game card, skate rental of $5, a non-skating parent, and laser tag is $8. What else we got going on? I think that'll be it for the events and local news. This episode of the Community Soldier Podcast is brought to you by Partial to Girls. Partial to Girls is a dynamic group of diverse women here in Jackson, Michigan, who are stepping up to create meaningful change in our community. Partial to Girls is all about action. These women come from unique backgrounds but share a united mission to make sure that no woman or child is left behind. Whether they're supporting each other's endeavors, hosting impactful community programs, or helping those who need it most, they're making Jackson a better place for everyone. And even you can be a part of their mission. Join the movement by volunteering your time, making donations, or simply spreading the word. You can find them and support them in their endeavors by reaching out and following their Facebook page at Partial to Girls. And just remember, as we salute these community soldiers, that together we can create real change. Let's support the women who are making a difference. Partial to Girls, diversity in action, unity in purpose. Thanks to Partial to Girls for sponsoring this episode of the Community Soldier Podcast. Now, let's get back to the show. All right. Thank you to Partial to Girls for sponsoring today's episode of the Community Soldier Podcast. Now, let's get back. Let's get to the nitty gritty into why we even on here today. I got a couple things I want to talk to you about. Let me make myself smaller so y'all can see. Um, we want to talk about the renaming of Milwaukee Street to Carl Breeding Way. The reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because I saw a couple people post on Facebook. You know, they had no idea that the street had changed, and most people didn't understand why the street changed. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're talking about. On September 2024, the Jackson City Council unanimously voted to rename Milwaukee Street to Carl Breeding Way. This decision wasn't just about changing the name of a street sign. It wasn't about changing the name of a street sign. It was about honoring a man who dedicated his life to education, civil rights, and public service. But who exactly was Carl Breeding, and why does this street matter? Let's explore this. First of all, Carl Breeding was a pillar in this community in Jackson. He spent 28 years teaching mathematics at Jackson High School, inspiring countless students to see their potential. But he didn't stop at education. He was also a fierce advocate for civil rights, serving as president of the Michigan NAACP and vice president at the national level. Breeding's influence extended into public service, where he represented Jackson's first ward on the city council from 1997 until his passing in 2012. At the time of his death, he held the position of vice mayor, a testament to his dedication to making Jackson a better place for everyone. So, understanding what this renaming means, Jackson Mayor Daniel Mahoney explained it in a quote. He said, Carl Breeding paved the way for leaders like me. This work in civil rights and education continues to inspire us. Naming the street after him is a way to ensure his legacy lives on. But see, this is not just about legacy. See, a street name, it carries like broader implications. It's like a marker of history, like a continual reminder for the progress that we've made, and a challenge for us to keep pushing forward. For young people in Jackson, especially those from marginalized communities, seeing Carl Breeding's name is a message to you. This is a message to you that you can make a difference. Councilwoman Arlene Robinson, who represented the first ward, the same seat Mr. Breeding held, shared how his example continues to guide her decisions. She said, when I'm faced with tough choices, I often think, what would Carl do? He truly embodied what it means to serve the people. Now, the renaming of Milwaukee Street the Carl Breeding Way also reflects Jackson's commitment to acknowledging the contributions of Black leaders. It's a step toward preserving our local history and creating a sense of pride and unity in our community. As Carl Breeding's daughter said, her name is Tara Breeding Mobley, during the unveiling, it's bittersweet. It's a moment of happiness mixed with sadness because we'd all rather him be here. So, what can we take from all of this? I think that we should honor Carl Breeding's legacy by asking ourselves, how can we contribute to our community? Whether it's mentoring, advocating for change, or just simply showing up for each other, we all have a role to play. We all have a role to play. Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. What does the renaming of Carl Breeding Way mean to you? And how can we keep his spirit alive in our daily lives? Leave me a comment on our Facebook page or on our YouTube page and let me know what you think. Community Soldier Podcast would like to take this time to thank one of our number one supporters and sponsors for today's episode. We have Pamela Lee. Pamela Lee is a local entrepreneur. She specializes in photography as well as custom designs. She is very fluent in working heat press and dealing with all of the different materials. Come see her. She has a lot of knowledge and she has a lot of products for you to guys support. She also does event photography. So if you need a photographer for one of your events, to either capture in video or pictures, feel free to contact Miss Pamela Lee on Facebook. Nah, we back, baby. We back. Now, on to the meet and greet of tonight's episode. We are talking about housing assistance and housing. What's at stake with cuts to housing assistance? I think this is going to be a major topic, man. So, everybody, welcome back to the Community Soldier Podcast. Today, we're diving deep, and it's something that affects a lot of people right here in Jackson, Michigan. And I'm talking about the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Now, for those that don't know, I'm gonna do a little bit of education on here. For those that don't know, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, this is a lifeline for many families. And we need to talk about the changes that could be coming up and who could be hit the hardest. I'm gonna break it down like step by step so you can understand exactly what's going on to the best of my ability. So first off, I want to start with what is Housing Choice Voucher Program? Um, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, or HCV for short, is what we call it. You might recognize it as the old Section 8 program. That's the old name for it. Basically, this is how it works. The government helps you pay rent. If you're low income, you can apply for this program. And if you're approved, they give you a voucher that helps pay part of your rent. You only pay a small percentage of your income. Usually it's around 30%, and the voucher takes care of the rest. The cool thing about the voucher is that you don't have to live in government run housing. You get to pick where you live as long as the landlord accepts the voucher. That means you can live in a safer area or even closer to your job or family if that's what you need. Right now, we have 2.2 million families across the country that are using these vouchers to help make sure they don't end up in the street or in unsafe housing. But see, the catch is that not everyone who needs it can actually get it, right? The waiting list is super long. And it's because sometimes it could be even years long. And it's really because the programs simply just don't have enough funding. So why is housing choice so important? Why should you as an average citizen care about this program? Simply because it helps people, a lot of people. It's not just about having a roof over your head, but it's about keeping families safe and healthy, keeping them stable. With the prices of rent going up as high as they are, especially here in Jackson, this program helps keep a steady roof over people's head, even when life is tough. This program makes neighborhoods safer. If you could live in better neighborhoods, your kids can go to better schools, you can have access to better jobs and more resources. Programs like this support people who need it most. People like seniors, disabled people, and veterans, and single moms, people that are on fixed incomes. These are the people that are most likely to depend on these programs. Without this assistance that these programs bring, a lot of people would have no choice but to live in very dangerous or rundown places, right? Because of the cost of the rent. So it's vital for programs. This It's a vital program for many families to spare. So why am I talking about this? It's because their proposed cuts coming up, and we need to understand like what's happening and why it's happening. See, the Trump administration is looking to make big cuts to this program specifically as part of budget proposal in Project 2025. Basically, they want to reduce how much money the government spends on housing assistance, and that could leave a lot of people without help. So let's talk about what's being proposed. Less money for housing. The government is thinking about cutting up to 8 billion from the HUD budget, which helps fund program like the Housing Choice Voucher. This means fewer families will be able to get the help that they need. Stricter rules, they might change who qualifies for the program, making it harder for families to get the voucher in the first place. Some people might be left out, especially if they're in a situation when they're struggling to get by but can't work or meet the new work requirements. So, work requirements, what are they talking about? One big change that's being discussed right now is that people on the program might have to work or look for work to keep getting the voucher. Now, I know that sounds good in theory, right? Right? People need to work. But for people who can't work due to health issues, children, or other reasons, this could make things a lot harder, right? Not everybody has the capability or the availability or the propensity to be able to go to work. And I know that sounds like, oh, you're just being too socialist, but I meet people every single day, especially single mothers who can't afford daycare. Right now, the cost of daycare for one child is just about as high as a person would pay to rent a one-bedroom apartment. So, for a single mother with multiple children, a daycare would be 80% of her paycheck. So, who's going to be affected? Who's going to feel the biggest impact if these cuts happen? I mean, let's break it down. Low income families are the ones who will be hit the hardest. We know this. If the voucher get cut, families might have to choose between paying rent and paying for other important things like food or medical bills. We're definitely going to see more people on the street. Seniors and people with disabilities, these folks often can't work and rely on voucher programs to stay in their homes. Cuts to programs like this would force them to move to unsafe or even homeless situations. We would have even more homeless people on the street. Single moms and veterans who depend on the vouchers for stable housing, these groups are already at a disadvantage when it comes to the housing market. These cuts would make it even harder for them to find places to live. People in urban areas like Jackson are already struggling. We already hurting, trying to meet the demands of affordable housing. With these cuts, even fewer families will be able to find safe and affordable places to live. Suburbs and smaller towns, they could also feel the impact slightly, as people in those areas who rely on assistance may have to move now into the inner city to neighborhoods that they don't traditionally or wouldn't traditionally visit or like to live in. Now they're gonna have to start moving to some of those areas. I mean, we already seeing hundreds of people every single day that are looking for housing, can't find housing, single mothers that need a 3 bedroom that are stuck in a 2 bedroom, or need a 4 bedroom that are stuck in a 3 bedroom. Restrictions on qualifications, like you need to make 3 times the amount of rent going up over $1,000 in most cases for a 1 bedroom apartment. Now I understand why they want to make some of these cuts. I mean, not to dog everything in the plan, because in their plan, when I really read it and break down the proposed budget cuts in Project 2025 that have to do with housing, just housing in particular. There's one part of the housing plan that I want to highlight that I really actually liked. I mean, it wasn't all that bad. Actually, there's two parts. One part was they want to build more single family homes. The plan includes a push to build more homes for families. This could be good news, especially for people who want to live in houses instead of apartments. Now, more houses mean more options for people who need them, you know, reducing the amount of people that are living and being stuck in smaller apartments, giving families the space that they really need. I like that part. But what the plan fails to address is, how do we get our people who are traditionally in poverty with poor credit to transition over to home ownership? There's no plan for that transition to home ownership. So what we see even with our own city, we see this big push to build more single family housing, right? There's more single family housing being built, 100 homes program, right? First time buyers program. But what we need to do is we need education on credit repair to get us to transition and be prepared for home buyership. We also need, what I also liked in their proposed plan on housing cuts, to make people self-sufficient. I understand what they're trying to do in the plan. They want people to become more self-sufficient and to rely on these programs less. I agree with that in principle. Yes, we need less people on the housing choice voucher program. Yes, that's true. We need more families in home. We need more families self-sufficient. Yes, but they're not addressing the issue of how we're going to get people there. They're just talking about making cuts from programs, and then having people rely on what? What are they doing to help people once they make those cuts to these programs? That's what they're not answering. And that was the main reason why I wanted to do this episode today about the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which is formerly known as Section 8, is because so many people rely on this program. And I'm already hearing in the conversations that I'm privy to, the fear, the doubt, the worry that there isn't going to be any funding for this program. Now people don't seem to understand, like, what will truly happen if there is no funding for this program. But like I said, all of their plan wasn't that bad. There there was two things that I liked in the plan. One was building more family homes, but the second one was reducing the anti-marriage bias in housing assistance. Reducing the anti-marriage bias in housing assistance. Right now, if you're a single parent, you often get more help from the government than if you're married. This is so true. This is so true. Being a married man now, I know what it feels like to try to go get assistance and get help and get the door slammed in your face because they say that you have two incomes. But they these programs do nothing to help families, dual parent, dual man, woman, two people homes, two adult homes. They do nothing to help you if you're in that situation. Now the new plan, they want to change it that so that married couples have the same chance of getting help as single parents. See, now this would be a step in the right direction to me because this would encourage stronger family units and we can help more families get the help they need. That's something that every program should change. If we started encouraging, encouraging family structures like that, rewarding those family structures like that, instead of penalizing. Right now, if a woman who is living on assistance finds a man and gets married to him, the very next month that he moves in, she has to show all of her income and she will lose everything that she has. All of her assistance. All of her assistance. And the worst part about it, I know that that sounds like, well, that's not a bad thing because the man works. Well, we don't think about all the situations, right? What if the man pays child support and the portion of his check after gross, after his bring home, what if together they are still under the poverty line? What happens then? Are they still eligible for program help? No, because they only go off of your gross. Ask any DHS caseworker. They only go off your gross. So what we see is a lot of women they get penalized for being in a relationship instead of helping both parties so that they can be self-sufficient. We penalize them. We take away resources. We take away assistance. So that's one thing in the program that I do agree with changing. But as far as stripping away billions of dollars from a program that's already underfunded, how is that going to solve the homeless problem that we're having in our city right now? Because I've I've already heard, I've already heard the projections for how many vouchers might come through the first quarter. It's not many, and every day people come into our offices or my Facebook saying the same story. I'm homeless. Who has the housing assistance? And every time I have to give them the same answer. It's sickening. Young women with children, young children, they come in our office every day. I have to listen to case managers tell them, we'll put your name on the waiting list. We as case managers, we know to hear those words, we will put you on the waiting list. That's basically like saying, I'm going to pray for you. Trust me. When you come in looking for housing resources and you're looking for a voucher, they're going to put you on the waiting list. And that's essentially them saying, we're going to pray for you. So what can we do about this? How can we protect the housing choice voucher program and make sure families get the help they need, right? I tell people all the time, you have to stay informed. You have to stay connected. Keep yourself updated to the changes that's being made in Washington right now. And you can't be afraid to speak out, man. You have to support your local housing agencies, such as Community Action Agency. You got to support your local advocates, and you definitely have to talk to your local city council members, our state representatives. We have to write them, our local congressmen and women. We got to write them. We got to make sure that they always vote to secure the voucher program. Because if we do what they want to do, which is basically make the program bare minimum, they're gonna make the program down to where only people that get a voucher are, like, if you're extremely disabled, those are the only people that are gonna get a voucher. And each county is gonna have their own rules. So each county is gonna prioritize people in a different way. So depending on which city you live in or which city you're trying to get your voucher in, the rules is gonna be different. The waiting list is gonna be different. These are all the things that no one is talking about, simply either because they don't know or they don't care. We gotta be prepared. We gotta be prepared. Because a lot of us, we ain't gonna be able to live in this wonderful city we know as Jackson. Because they already have a plan. They have a plan. You see these apartments coming up, loft loft style apartments coming up, luxury style apartments coming up, 100 homes being built. Y'all looked at the rental market lately? Fair market value, according to HUD, right now for Jackson is 884, $884 a month. Is fair market rate for a one bedroom apartment. I know a lot of people like, dang, that don't sound bad, especially from other states. But let's break it down. For Jackson, the fair market rate for a one bedroom is 884. So that means you have to show that you make three times the amount of rent to be able to get approved for that place. So that means you have to show that you make $2,650 a month at least. You got to make at least 2,600 a month. So that means you got to make over $15 an hour. What is that? 16? Yeah, you have to make $16 an hour right now to be able to afford a one bedroom apartment in Jackson, Michigan. The average job here, what does the average job here pay? Average income in Jackson County is slightly under 50,000. That's for the county though. The average income of a person on the south side of Jackson, like on this street right here, half that, if that, 24,000. The average income. The average income on the south side of Jackson cannot afford a one bedroom apartment. And we're talking about a lot of people. Man, we got a lot of work ahead of us, man. We got to make sure that this housing voucher program, it got to stay strong. This is a major lifeline, major lifeline for many families in Jackson right now and all across the country. We can't allow these cuts to hurt these people like that. We have to be advocates. We have to be vocal. We have to force leadership. That's the only thing that we can do now. I mean, we let these people get voted in. We let them get voted in. But it ain't too late, though. Right now, these senators and congressmen and even the president, they got to follow the rules of the system. And the people still have a say if we show up. We got to show up. be present at these elections, at these city council meetings. They win when we don't fight. They win when we just be silent. They win when we choose our own selfish interests. They win when we choose our own self preservation. And they win when we don't stand together. A true community makes sure that even the least amongst them has what they need. A true community makes sure that no one is left behind. Makes me think, man, in today's society that we live in, this social media world, people seem to have a heart for what they want to have a heart for. We care about what we want to care about. I wonder, like, will we ever get to a time where we just choose humanity, where we choose people, period? Because all of this comes down to, at the end of the day, all of this comes down to greed. There's no reason why we should have homeless people. There's no reason why in this great, rich nation that there isn't a home built for every family. There's enough space in our country where every family could have a home. There's enough wood, there's enough shingles, there's enough heat for everyone, enough food, enough resources, enough everything. But we've been conditioned to hoard selfishly, to say, I have to think about my family over your family. And it's evident. I mean, it's evident in our society. You just look at the grocery store anytime anything happens, a storm, any mini pandemic, what happens? You see the people who can afford, they will go in the store and buy everything up. While the people who can't afford, they get left fighting for the scraps. We saw a whole pandemic, a shortage, a baby formula. And what did we see? The people who could, they would buy it all up. And then the single mothers who couldn't, they were left crying, wondering how they were going to feed their child. See, each one of us inside of us, we have this inherent nature uh, to want to live, right? A self-preservation inside of each of us, right? That says we have to make sure that we keep going. And over time, what that has done is it's changed people to be like, well, we care about more about what's going on with our family than we do about with other families. And now here in America, you see through the way we even vote, we worried about our personal finances over even women's rights. We cared more about how much we spent at the grocery store than a woman keeping the right to choose over her body. That's self-preservation. And I get it. I want my family to last. I want my family to be here too. But when will we get to the point, the understanding that if there's one of us suffering, that means we all suffering. If one of us is starving, we all starving. When can we get to that point? When we get to the point where we just see each other as humans? When will we get to the point where things like housing, healthcare, education don't have to be predicated on how much money you have? Because right now, the most essential things that we need in life are determined by how much money we have. It's factual. I've been in schools that are underfunded, don't have money for textbooks, don't have money to pay teachers. The teachers that they do get are poor quality. They don't want to be there. And then you see schools that have iPads in every classroom, laptops, kids get to take them home. Amazing teachers that graduated from MIT and Harvard and the best of the best. Even with the housing choice voucher, I saw an apartment complex in Dexter that's in Ann Arbor Housing Commission. And this apartment took the housing choice voucher. And I was just like amazed. I was amazed because all I could think of was this is Dexter's version of Reed Manor. And it was beautiful, guys. It was beautiful. Very big, spacious units, carpet everywhere, full size, handicap accessible bathrooms, handicapped shower seat, shower chairs installed in the unit, air scrubbers in the unit, HEPA filters, dishwashers in the unit, community rooms with a on-site food pantry, social workers on site. So that even made me think, like, man, depending on where you live, even your assistance looks different. That housing complex in Dexter that took the same housing choice voucher as their apartment in Reed Manor, but because of the location and because of the taxes paid in that city or whatever rules or way they justify it, even that housing choice program, it just looks totally different depending on the city that you live in. So why do I say that? I say that because what we're gonna see that happen, what's gonna happen is cities like Jackson, with our relatively small population, we're going to be overlooked. There's not going to be many vouchers for us. There's not going to be plans making sure we have adequate housing because they don't care. They simply don't care. So what are we going to do, guys? We got to either be about the change or just get ran over. That's all we got today for another edition of the Community Soldier broadcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely like the video, comment, share. Let me know what you think about some of these topics. I mean, we talked about a lot. We covered a lot today. So if you just stumbled into the video, make sure you watch the beginning, rewind it, because you definitely don't want to miss out everything that we had today. We appreciate you guys. And if you would like to sponsor the Community Soldier podcast, please send me a message on Facebook or comment on the YouTube page, or you can email me. Matter of fact, let me put my email on here. I did. I just created a Community Soldier email. You can email me at justin.communitysoldier@gmail. That's Justin, JUSTIN dot communitysoldier@gmail. If you'd like to be on the show, you'd like to have a comment that you'd like me to discuss on the next episode, feel free to email me. I will read the comments on the next week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. And y'all have a great night. grandpa told me you lucky to have one friend. Situations in life coming, you gotta trust them. Found out many times in life you can't trust men. So I rolled solo, that process was an adjustment. Friends let you down, not around when you're needing them. Only here to take like a child, got you feeding them. Better off leaving them like salt, that's the seasoning. Killing black people,